2023 was the year of Baldur's Gate 3.
And the award goes to Neil Newbar.
The Game Award goes to Baldur's Gate 3. And the Game Award goes to Baldur's Gate 3. Best Community Support. And the Game Award goes to Baldur's Gate 3. Player's Voice Award, 100% voted by the fans. Baldur's Gate 3.
And the game of the year is Baldur's Gate 3.
And despite all the accolades that this game has received over this last year, still this is the internet and people are complaining about this game and how it defeated Spider-Man 2. And regardless of whether you fall on the RPG train or not, I thought this would be a really good time and opportunity for us to discuss, were we all wrong about Baldur's Gate 3? And the answer is no. Now, if you had asked me back in August of 2023 when this game was released that Baldur's Gate 3 would be fighting it out online with Spider-Man 2 fans, I wouldn't have believed you. I didn't think this was something that would ever necessarily correlate, but the copium is flowing deep within gaming communities right now as everybody wakes up to the fact that the Game Awards have come and gone, and either your game won or it lost. And I thought I'd spend some time today highlighting what you guys have been saying in my comments, because one of the craziest things is that after the Game of the Year award was announced, my Baldur's Gate 3, 60-second review went absolutely insane. So thank you guys for watching the shorts here on the channel, but more than that, thank you guys so much for your comments as well, because they're always just a joy to read, whether I agree with them or disagree with them. I think that's one of the best parts about being a YouTuber. But let's highlight what you guys have to say, because it isn't just me, and I know a lot of people might not be privy to all of the conversation, but there's some silver lining and there's some real good opportunities here to discuss. So the Real History Buff says it's trash. James or Jam says it's not Game of the Year level at all. TF. And then Frog follows it up, says Spider-Man was robbed. Then we've got Miguel says, I'm not an RPG. By the way, this game ducks. And I have to agree. Miguel is not an RPG, but I really do appreciate the comment. Tim says, no way, bro. Just compared turn-based RPG to Rockstar level. I think this is something that is always interesting to me to see, that people equate a turn-based battle system or any kind of combat as something of the past, or a arcade, like a relic of the past. And yet at the same time, we still have like awesome new board games that come out today that are, guess what, turn-based. Turn-based isn't some sign of weakness. Not everything needs to be action, but we do know action gets a lot more attention. And that's why I'm thrilled that Baldur's Gate 3 was able to cut through all of that and shine. And so hopefully this gives new generations of players the opportunity to check out this game and decide for themselves whether they like it or not. Because on paper, yes, shooter, bang, bang, let's go, obviously works. And that's where the money's at. And if we can have games like this that work, I think overall gaming culture will benefit greatly. Little Nut Dumb says, I'm a huge fan of RPGs, but this makes no sense how Spider-Man 2 didn't even at least win one award. Spider-Man is just so iconic, it makes me question the world. And Starkey Bear follows them up, says, games shouldn't be based off of the popularity of the IP, or, games shouldn't be win based off of the popularity. However, just to kind of push back on that, we know that that's the case. That's actually where I was like, the most surprising is that Legend of Zelda didn't win, namely because of its brand name IP. And a lot of people, I didn't want it to win. I'm still a little bit bitter that it took out Mario Odyssey with the last one, because I feel like Mario Odyssey holds up way better, especially with Tears of the Kingdom being out. I think Tears of the Kingdom actually really made me feel stronger about Mario Odyssey not getting the win back then. But when it's all said and done, I think that it's interesting to see that I wouldn't have put Spider-Man into the Game of the Year nomination personally, because that I think that everything that was nominated this year was just doing things just so absolutely, better in this case. Ghost Breezy says, so this is what beat Spider-Man 2? Wow, I don't even compare this to Rockstar level if they ever made an RPG. That shit's gonna be gas on some Dark Souls shit. Then we have Louis Marne says, LOZ, Tears of the Kingdom was robbed. Party says, looks like next-gen mobile game. And then possibly Olivia. The absolute copium I've seen from the Spider-Man meat writers is hilarious. Take a shot every time you hear, I haven't even heard of this game, so it's gotta be bad. And this is where things start to turn to the positive side. And to wrap up what's being stated, Andrew says, if Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year and it's turn-based, what's Square Enix excuse? Final Fantasy died a long time ago. And I want to come back to this comment, but I do want to highlight what PMS Jordan says. I don't understand the Game of the Year Spider-Man 2 Baldur's Gate 3 discussion at all. Let's pretend Baldur's Gate 3 never came out. In this alternative universe, Spider-Man 2 would still most likely have lost to either Alan Wake 2 or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at the Game Awards. And that's what is the most interesting piece of this discussion. I do not think that Baldur's Gate 3, like if it did not exist, that Spider-Man 2 would have won. It's a thrill to be nominated, but this is just kind of highlighting it. And the hypocrisy or the irony or whatever word we want to use, just the weirdness of all this conversation is that I remember like Baldur's Gate 3 was a champion of the PlayStation ecosystem because it came out on PC, and then the next month it launched on PlayStation in direct competition with Starfield. Then essentially you also have it announced for Xbox at the Game Awards as well, thus taking away that kind of exclusivity point. And that's where I think all of a sudden you start to see how many people, how much of the conversation is more driven off of engagement and console war nonsense than any real type of realistic discussion, because you have so much that you can actually type in saying that it's trash doesn't make it doesn't make that statement true. But that always makes me curious, what about it makes the game trash? What about it did you not like about it? And I think that we could have a more nuanced level of discussion around what this game is and why Baldur's Gate 3 took the awards hands down from anything like that of Tears of the Kingdom and of Spider-Man. And in my case, like I would have personally been rooting for Mario Wonder. I thought that it did an incredible job. And Super Mario Wonder is my game of the year, followed up by Starfield. Baldur's Gate 3 is incredible, but everybody's going to have their own personal game of the year versus that of the rewards. But anyway, I celebrate Baldur's Gate 3 for what Larian has done from a technical level, from reviving the turn-based and the kind of that strategy tactical RPG, and bringing out a level of quality that raises the bar for video games from here into eternity, in so to speak. And so that is essentially where I'm excited, and I'm really grateful that Baldur's Gate 3 won, and I'm really curious and almost in a way entertained by the conversation that then happens online. So you guys can let me know, do you feel like Spider-Man 2 was snubbed? I know it didn't take home any awards, or do you feel like it should have won Game of the Year? I'm just generally curious where you fall on the conversation. If anything in this video or any of the comments stood out to you, let me know which one. I'd love to hear from you in that regards. But guys, I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this video. If you feel like it earns it, hit that like, subscribe for more content, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.